Hello, hi. Today's IELTS lesson, part 1, part 2 and part 3 will be the topic technology. The subject of technology frequently comes up in the IELTS speaking exam. You may be asked to talk about something you own, your favorite websites, how technology has impacted on learning and education today. You'll need to show the examiner your ability to express yourself using a wide range of vocabulary as possible. Okay, let's start technology. Let's go. Part 1, style questions. The first question in part 1, which we need to answer with 2 or 3 sentence response. The first question, do you enjoy using technology? The student answers, well, I wouldn't call myself a techie or a computer buff, but I enjoy using computers. I'd like to find out more about how they work. When my computer crashes, I never know what to do. Good response. The first vocabulary word, a techie. Who is a techie? A techie is somebody who has an interest in technology. A techie. A computer buff. What is a computer buff? A computer buff is an expert on using computers. Similar to a techie, but he focuses just on computers. A computer buff. The student said, when my computer crashes. Good vocabulary. Computer crashes. When a computer crashes, it suddenly stops working. It shuts down. To crash, computer crash. Question 2. Do you use the internet for your studies? The student replies, yes, I'd be lost without it. I do lots of video conferencing to practice speaking, and social media, like Facebook, is a good way to meet up with other students. And I download podcasts that teach English vocabulary and grammar. The student said, I do lots of video conferencing. Video conferencing is to see and hear people from different locations using the internet. Video conferencing. The next vocabulary, social media. Most people nowadays know what social media is. Media used to interact with other people, such as Facebook, WeChat, or Twitter. Social media. Then the student used the words download podcasts. And I download podcasts. What are podcasts? Podcasts are, to download them, are to save a copy of a file from the internet to your own device to download. Podcasts can be lessons or conversations on different topics. Download podcasts. The third question, part 1, technology topic. Do you have your own computer? The student replies, yes, I have a MacBook Pro. I use it all the time for word processing, browsing websites, and catching up with TV programs I've missed. The student uses the words word processing. Word processing means producing written text on a computer. Word processing. To browse websites. To browse websites means to look at websites. To have a look. To browse websites. And that will be the end of our part 1 style questions on the topic technology. Let's move to part 2. Part 2. In part 2, we must speak about a topic the examiner gives us, and we must speak for 2 minutes on the topic. Okay, so our topic today, describe an item of technology you have that is very important. You should say what the technology is, when you got it, how often you use it, and say how different your daily life would be without it. So now the examiner gives you 1 minute to prepare your 2-minute speech. Okay, and now we have a response from a student. The student says, I don't have many gadgets, just a computer, a laptop and my mobile phone. But I'll talk about my computer as it's so useful. It's funny, really. 2 years ago, I was still learning to use computers, how to use email, send attachments, how to access websites. Then I decided to do a digital editing course for video and photography. And so I bought the laptop when I started the course. My husband had a desktop PC, but it was very slow, so I decided to upgrade to a powerful one because we do a lot of video editing on the course. It's a high-spec laptop, very fast. The latest operating system, it boots up really quickly, and it's fun to use, so it makes working a pleasure. I've become a competent computer user now. If I didn't have it, I dare say I'd have to spend more time at college using their computers. But on the positive side, I suppose I'd read a lot more if I didn't have it. I probably waste a lot of time surfing the web, but hopefully I won't have to be without it. A very good response. The first vocabulary, the student says, I don't have many gadgets. What are gadgets? Gadgets are a technological tool like a mobile phone or camera, a gadget. The student says, I send attachments. Attachments. Send an attachment. Send an email with an accompanying file, such as a photo. Send an attachment. To access websites. To access means to go in, to locate, to find. To access websites. Then the student says, digital editing. What is digital editing? It is to edit digital materials like audio or video files. Next, the student says, my husband had a desktop PC. What is a desktop PC? Well, it's a computer that isn't portable and remains in situ on a desk. Next, the student says to upgrade. To upgrade is to obtain a more powerful or feature-rich computer or piece of software. To upgrade. The next vocabulary, high spec. High spec means a powerful computer with top quality components. High spec, it can be a desktop or a laptop? High spec. The student says operating system. The software that tells the computer how to work is the operating system. To boot up. To boot up means to start a computer. To boot up. And that's the end of our part 2. Let's go to part 3 style questions. Part 3 style questions. The first question on part 3, topic technology. The question says, what do you think are the important things people need to learn when they start using computers? Our student responds, well, there are things like how to use the internet, how to enter a web address, how to navigate websites, that kind of thing. But it's also important to know how to back up your files in case your computer crashes, and all about the internet security. To enter a web address is to type the address of a website into the address bar of your browser. To enter a web address. Our next vocabulary, to navigate a website. This means to find your way around a website. To navigate a website. Our student says to back up files. To back up files, this means to make copies of files in case of a computer problem or computer crash. To back up files. Internet security. Internet security is internet safety. It's taking precautions and making sure you are safe on the internet. Internet security. Question 2. Our examiner asks, what kind of technological developments have made the biggest impact on our lives? Our student replies, in my lifetime, it has to be the internet, of course. But I also think Wi-Fi has made a huge difference to how we interact with the internet. Wireless networks at home and public Wi-Fi hotspots mean we can go online easily and access our mail, email, log into our work internet, and basically be connected wherever we are. A great reply. All of the responses to the questions that the examiner has asked in this lesson are 8 or above. Our final question on part 3, technology topic. The examiner asks, do computers make it much easier to study? Our student replies, definitely yes. Researching information is much easier with the internet. You can bookmark web pages for future reference, and writing essays is much easier. Being able to cut and paste sections of text means you can experiment with organization. So yes, compared to years ago when you had a pile of books on your desk and a pen and paper, it's now much easier. A great response. It said you can bookmark web pages. To bookmark a web page means to mark a web page for future reference. To bookmark a web page. Our next vocabulary, to cut and paste. To cut and paste means to move text or images from one place in a document to another place. To cut and paste. A great piece of vocabulary. Okay, that brings us to the end of our part 3 and our lesson. Please I hope you've enjoyed our lesson today on technology, and I will see you next time. Bye bye for now.